Welcome back for another episode of Strive for 25. Joel Farrell here, and looking forward to sharing with you our guest.
Welcome back to another episode of the Strive for 25 podcast. And this is a very special day because when one Joel meets another Joel, it's a good day because there aren't that many that go around. And unfortunately, I get the name Josh all the time. Not Joe, not John, it's Josh. That's a whole different story. But Joel Salomon, master of prosperity coach, best-selling author, finance expert. Thank you so much for coming on the show today.
Oh, my pleasure, Joel. And I've been saying to my mailing list for the last weeks that they got to tune into this one because of the special name alone, just for the special name. Like alone, that makes it special.
I put on social media, I think on one of my reels or stories on Instagram or whatever, because I've got a longtime client on the mortgage side that's military. His name is Joel Farrell, and I've known him for a long time, and we've hung out many times along the way in DC area. And I texted him after our call. I was like, no shit, another Joel out there. But we were talking about something specific that had to do with business, and it was coincidental. It wasn't just a random call. It was coincidental that he was reaching out to me about stuff, and it all lined up. Anyway, so it's just fun to joke about that because, I get Josh all the time, But we're here to talk about you and your business and how you help people transform.
Yes,
so
absolutely.
Where do you want to dig in? What's the favorite thing about what you do?
Man, there's so much. I'll just tell you a quick story about why I'm doing what I'm doing. And it was 2015 December when I was managing my own hedge fund, which, by the way, was my true dream from 1993 to 2013, and obviously through 2015. And I went to a personal development course, and it was day 2 of the course, and we had a guest speaker speaking for 1 hour about stocks and stock options. And when he spoke about stock options, he made it sound easy. He said, you don't need much time, you don't need much money. This is how the rich people get rich, and options are essentially risk-free. And I was sick to my stomach. There were 200 people in the room. There were people tapping me on the shoulder, whispering my ear, Joel, does this make sense? And so I told him, after he was done, we went out of the auditorium. I told him, please don't do this. He has no idea about any of you individually, and most importantly, no idea about your belief that you become rich using stock options. See, out of the 200 people in the room, only maybe 2, 3, 4, 5 were likely to get rich using stock options, and yet 60 ran to the back of the room to sign up for his course. So I went home that night, and I couldn't sleep. 3:30, 4 in the morning, it hit me finally at 4:30. I jumped out of bed. I quickly got dressed. I was at my office in Midtown Manhattan before the sun rose, and I sent an email to my investors telling them I'm giving them their money back. I'm shutting down my fund. I figured out my true purpose in life.
So how many hours from that meeting till that email? How many hours was that?
12, 18, something like that.
And you haven't second guessed 1 second of it, have you?
No, it is my purpose to help. And my mission now is to help at least 100,000 people become financially free. And I'm doing that through my books, through my seminars, through my webinars, through one-on-one coaching, through my membership, and through podcasts like this to give some people tips and tricks and, the inside line. Look, there's no magic pill becoming financially free, but there are specific mindset techniques you can use to get you to move towards financial freedom quickly. And so I teach those, and I won't say I have had success. My clients have had success. My one-on-one coaching clients have manifested almost $3 million now. And my Money Miracles membership members are up to 1,235,000. So these techniques have worked, and I'm excited to to share some of those with your listeners, your viewers. And, because it's important to understand that everyone's unique and everyone has their path to financial freedom. And again, out of 200 people, it may be 1% of the population, it's stock options, but the other 99%, it's not.
Okay, before we dig into an example, did that person even know the Greeks? I mean, did he talk about the Greeks in that session? Theta.
Well, no. Look, there's 200 people in the room, and their net worth is asymptotically zero. So, talking about beta, gamma, and talking about volatility. No, he just gave two specific examples, which, hindsight's 2020. He gave the example of Facebook IPO. Their first earnings after the IPO. He said, look, you could have just sold puts and bought calls, and you would have made 10 times your money. You knew that the stock was going to move a lot. So he gave that example and one other example that, looking back, yeah, you would have made 10 times your money, but it wasn't clear to the world that the stock was going to move a lot. So anyway, the point being, no, he didn't talk about Greeks. He didn't talk about a lot of the specifics of options trading because he just wanted to get people to believe that they could become rich using options. So he showed them two examples where you made 10 times your money. And obviously there are 1,000 other examples where you don't make any money or lose money.
Yep. That's probably for a different conversation because you can go hours talking about option trading and stock market trading and all that stuff. Yeah. Well, I think where I want to go first is you've got a number of examples of people that are in your different levels of coaching platform. When somebody comes to your platform, they're coming to you how meaning like what's their mindset? What's holding them back? What are they trying to accomplish when they are coming to you in the first place?
The biggest reason people come to me is they are fearful or worried about money. They have feelings of lack or scarcity. And I tell people when they work with me, they'll never feel the same about money again. And it's interesting. A lot of people don't even know that they have feelings of fear or lack or scarcity. For example, there was a woman who's in one of my courses who emailed me yesterday that she was getting part of her pension, and she was just asking me about the decision she was about to make, which was to put the money, she's about 60 years old, to put the money into a CD or an annuity. Which choice should she make?
At that age?
And there was no discussion of her business, investing more in her business, investing in real estate, investing in stock, investing in other opportunities where, and it was just these two. And it was just, she doesn't even see that she's living in fear and lack and scarcity and worry and not living from a place of prosperity, abundance, and thriving. And that may be one of the reasons why she's taken one of my courses, but still, it's this mindset. People, like a lot of people don't see, they're unconsciously unconscious. They don't even know what they don't know. And so first getting them to see how they're acting, a lot of people would just go around all day saying that's too expensive. I can't afford that. Their mindset is always on lack and scarcity. And I teach my clients to shift that to, it's not a priority right now. It's not a priority for me right now, because you will spend the money on things that matter. You'll spend the money on that dream vacation. Or if your mom is vacationing in Australia and you live in the US and something really terrible happened to her and she's in a hospital over there, you'll take the flight. You'll spend the hotel money. You'll do whatever it takes to be there to help her out or make sure, you're there when she's dying. That's a priority for you. you'll spend the money. So it's really interesting. Nothing's expensive. It's just not a priority for me right now. And most people that I talk to don't even know that they have fears and are limiting beliefs around money. This woman I talked to today, for example, told me, well, my mom told me growing up that it's really not good to have a lot of money. Rich people, you don't want to be like those people. Well, what are those people like? Have you met the 800 million rich people? No. Maybe you've met a few of them, but I'm pretty sure not 800 million.
Right. So the scarcity, the fear, that conversation right there, hey, you know, my mom told me not good to have a lot of money, not good to be a rich person or whatever. Then what's the next effect from there? What does that mean?
Right. So that is a limiting belief, I say. It's not a truth. There are only a few truths on this earth. One is the law of gravity. You step off a building, you're going to fall. Right. But there are limiting beliefs and empowering beliefs. And when people come to me and say, well, rich people aren't spiritual, again, you haven't met 800 million people. So how do you know? Maybe you've seen some newspaper articles about 100 or 500 or even 1,000, but you haven't met the 799 million others. So it's not statistically significant, coming from a math and stat major, by the way. Anyway.
Missed a couple zeros there, by the way. Just kidding.
Right. So the first thing is limiting beliefs, to shift those to empowering beliefs. So it's good to be rich. Like you can use affirmations. You can use some audio files that I have free on my website, by the way, on salomon.com. There's free audio files that people can download. But the way to shift limiting beliefs to empowering beliefs is to reconfigure the brain synapses. Because you were taught a lot between age 0 and 7, 0 and 12, which you didn't question. Right? They became your truths because you didn't know to question them until you got older, and then you started thinking, does this really make sense? Because like I told this woman, wouldn't it be great if you had $10 million and you gave away 9 to your favorite charity or to a town in some really impoverished neighborhood in some country somewhere? How much good could you do with $10 million? And so reframing it is important. And also using different types of affirmation. She said one of the things she's getting out of my 9 Money Rules Millionaires Use course is that, you know, everyone's taught affirmations. You know, say those affirmations every day. The issue is if you don't believe them. So if somebody tells you to say, I am a money magnet, and on a scale of 1 to 10, where 10 is absolute faith, massive belief, and 1 is massive doubt, you're like a 1. That's not true. I'm not a money magnet. You know, money just goes away from me. Then don't say it, because this is what's happening. You're saying something that you don't believe, and nothing's happening. You're just knocking wood against the wall. It's not going anywhere. So you can soften it. I'm on my way to becoming a money magnet. I allow myself to become a money magnet. And that might be an 8 or 9 or 10. Say that all day long until you're getting more comfortable with, oh yeah, wait, money is flowing to me. I am a money magnet. Look what just happened. I just found a $20 bill on the ground. I am a money magnet. Look what just happened. I got a check in the mail for $180. Know where that came from. Look, I'm part of Joel's Money Miracles membership, and I manifested $322,000. Wow. Yeah, I am a money magnet, and then scream it out loud. So saying affirmations that you believe, have a high belief in, and also strong desire. Desire is really important too. If you're not a 7, 8, 9, or 10 in desire, and if you're not a 7, 8, 9, or 10 in belief, don't say it. It's not helpful. You could say it all day long, many years. Like, there's white knuckling it the way I was managing money in the beginning for my hedge fund. And then there's allowing. And a lot of times we feel like we have to white knuckle things in order to get it done. And yeah, it will happen. It'll take a lot longer that way, but it will happen. So why not do it the quicker way?
So kind of digging a little bit deeper on all that, because there's a lot that goes into what we just talked about from a high level, right? So the person who, is unconsciously conscious or whatever, not opening their brain to some of the things that are possible when it comes to money, having these limiting beliefs and having the fear. What's like, if you have those beliefs that are kind of closed-minded, what happens, or what does that stop somebody from being able to do? What's going to happen as they keep going on like that?
Well, there's no growth and there's no change and there's no thriving, right? So your status quo, you're making your $10,000 a month, 120,000 a year after year after year, and there may be slight increases and slight decreases, but there's no significant growth like I've had in my life. And my clients have had in their lives, in the last few years. So that's the thing. So there's that, and then there's also the feelings that are attached to that. So if you continue to, if you're not doing anything, then what's the consequences of that? Generally, there's no more abundance, there's not more prosperity, there's no more giving, which, by the way, is rule number 6 in the 9 money rules. There's and so that's in the physical world. And then in the feeling world, you're probably not happy. Now, can happiness buy you money? That's actually rule number 3 of the 9 money rules. Can money buy you happiness? Can happiness buy you money? Yeah, so get happy first and then watch the money flow. But it's pretty hard to be ecstatic when you're barely making ends meet, or if you're homeless.
Mm-hmm.
So that's the consequences of doing nothing.
So you go into this process, you realize that you're not where you want to be in life. Something's just stopping you from reaching your goals, and you can't put your finger on it. And then you come to several of your courses and trainings and coaching, and you start to do some of these principles, right? From a biological or mental standpoint, why do these types of principles, why do they actually help somebody's results shift their trajectory to a different level? How does that happen, and why?
So this is going to be a little esoteric, but everything has a vibration. Everything has a frequency. Everything is energy. I say money is energy. That's actually a quote from the 9 money rules millionaires use. Money is energy. So if you're vibrating down here with fear and worry and sadness, and happiness and gratitude and abundance and prosperity are this vibration, you can't get there from here. So it's really hard to generate the abundance and prosperity when you're vibrating down here. You're on a different frequency. You're on a different radio channel. And so it's hard to get to 880 AM from 660. You have to make some shifts. And so that is the reason why you have to close that gap. And so I help close the gap by specific processes and techniques that have been proven by seeing my clients shift. And before we go on, I'd like to exercise rule number 6, giving, and give to all your listeners and viewers a free white paper called The 5 Mistakes New Millionaires Make. And all they have to do is text to the number 66866 prosperity. Some say it's my middle name, Master Prosperity Coach. Prosperity. So text to the number 66866 prosperity, and you'll get my free white paper. The 5 Mistakes New Millionaires Make, and read it, because you can act as if you're a new millionaire.
Okay.
Act as if you're a new millionaire, and it's absolutely free. Obviously, you'll be added to my email list. If you don't want, after getting that paper, you can unsubscribe, but get the free white paper.
So what's one little nugget that somebody can expect to get from that white paper?
So one mistake that a lot of new millionaires make is that they're not operating from that place of gratitude. So being grateful for what you have is a really high vibration. And so if you get a windfall, like happened to a few of my Money Miracles membership members, and you're not grateful for it, you're like almost embarrassed about it, that's not a good vibration. Like, first thing is, okay, think about in advance, you just manifested $100,000. How much are you going to give away? First, number one. And where are you going to give it to? And I'd recommend at least 10,000, at least 10%. And then what are you going to, like, I wouldn't, maybe splurge on another 5 or 10,000 and then invest the other 80. And think about what you're going to do, and think about how grateful you are now before it actually comes in. So that is one of the mistakes a lot of new millionaires make, is they're not grateful. They're embarrassed, or they're worried about how it's going to go away. So be grateful now.
So this is a results world, right? I mean, everything comes down to, results, whether it be a job or grades or sports or your relationships. I mean, sometimes that's the thing. Relationships are very much intangible gray area, but we see the effects of actions and emotions and things like that. You see divorces, you see people getting married, you see friends falling apart, people staying together, whatever it is. Like, so from a result standpoint, the person that's coming to you from a place of fear, right? Their actions and results are going to be different than the person that's coming up to their side with a level of abundance and gratitude and belief. So what do you see different from both of those sides of the equation in terms of the actual actions and results versus out the other side?
Yeah, so a lot of people come to me who are new entrepreneurs or existing entrepreneurs, but are not making significant amount of money because of these blocks. And so maybe they're literally making 1,000 to 5,000 a month at this new venture, or they have an idea and they're not making any money yet. So they work with me and they start making a lot more money. I won't put numbers on it, but I'll give one example. This woman made $40,000 in her business last year, and she started working with me this year, and she made $8,000 in a week. Actually, 8,800 in a week, to be exact. So those shifts can happen pretty quickly when you put in the process. So the results are more abundance and prosperity, more money, right? And when you put in the processes and the mindset changes together, that's when you create the abundance and prosperity. And then I guess the other piece of it is, we haven't really talked about it, but I teach investing. And I love when there's abundance and manifestations and these big numbers come in, because then I can help DIY invest with, and I teach my clients how to do it yourself. If it's real estate or stocks, or it could be options, 2 out of 200, or it could be crypto, or it could be the business, right? Your business is your passion. That's great too. So that's what I see in terms of results. Like, there's a shift in income and there's a shift in mindset. And like I said earlier, people who work with me never feel the same about money again.
So I love it. I love it. I mean, all the things that we're talking about, make sense to me. Because I'm on the same plane trying to understand this stuff. So I have to dig a little bit deeper because I just want to make sure that the people who are listening to this are going to see from every single angle, try to understand it from every single angle, and try to understand how this can be actually pretty powerful and beneficial. So, from a standpoint of 24 hours in a day, right? There's only so much time in a day. We all have the same amount of hours, but the people who are successful in whatever industry or field that they're in, and compare those to the people who are average or not average or below average, those people are doing something different. It starts with the mind, right? Because that's what we're talking about. It starts with the mind, starts with your vibrations. It starts there. And then the results are different because they're doing things differently in some kind of way in terms of how they're organizing their day or scheduling or actions or what they're actually prioritizing and doing. So the woman that you mentioned that made 8,000 in a week, you don't have to be specific about the person or industry or whatever, but what did they do different? What actually fundamentally did they do differently than they had done before that all of a sudden brought results?
Great question, Joel. And you're right. Success comes from mindset. And we talked about belief already. So what I help people with is their belief in themselves. A lot of people have doubts about their abilities because growing up, they were probably told things that weren't true. And look, our parents and friends are not necessarily the best role models, and they're imperfect as well. So we're learning from imperfect beings. So our belief may not be where it is, and I help them with their belief, and I help them with their desire. Right? Again, it's good to be rich, right? It's good to be rich, and look how much you can give away. So that's the mindset piece, and then the process piece is most entrepreneurs are not doing the actions that they need to do to be successful. And one of them is just taking action, getting out into the world, being on an awesome podcast like this, right? Like that's taking action. And so people are fearful. That's a big thing. Fear of rejection is a big one. So you have to know not to take things personally. What she did was she got on more what she calls discovery calls. I call them prospecting calls, however you want to call them, just talking to more people and telling them what she's doing. And she's, how do I put it? Really heart-based. She really she's like me. She's here to be of service to others, to help others, to be of service. She comes from the heart. And so it's not even a sales call, it's a discovery call to find out how she can help. And so that was one piece of it, talking to more people, getting out there, which she wasn't doing. And I reach out to 50 people a week. May sound like a lot, but it's not. It takes, maybe a couple of hours a week. Most people working 40 or 50 or 60, it takes a couple of hours. And I reach out to 50 to 60 people a week. I get on 10 to 15 calls. And that's what I told her to do. And so she did that over a couple of weeks. And the other thing she did was increase her price. Most people I talk to don't have the right price. They're giving away what they do. And a lot of the people I help are spiritual, call them. They are doing really good things, but they're charging $100 or $150 per hour. And that's and they charge per hour as opposed to having a program. So what I did with her is I told her to double her prices. And she said, I'm not worth that. So there's a limiting belief, right? And I told her, wait a second, you're changing people's lives. And that's priceless. So, and then I had her say as often as she could in the shower, while she's driving, walking in nature, taking a jog, in the gym, in her head, or out loud if she's alone, the investment of my program is X, over and over and over again, so that she gets comfortable with saying it and confident in saying it because she thought she was worth half X. So hopefully that answered your question.
That's exactly kind of what I was hoping you would say, because that kind of illustrates some tangible examples. So she doubled her price. She increased her activity in terms of outreach. And what was stopping her before from doing that on her own and thinking of that on her own was, one, you said she didn't think she was worth that. And like you said, she was helping a lot of people with what she was doing with her service. And then just to kind of restate it again, why was she not already doing a certain amount of outreach already?
I think the biggest reason why she and most people don't is this fear of rejection. Like, well, if I reach out to these people, then, you know, they're going to say, oh, like, I don't want your help. But if the 4 agreements, I forget who wrote the book, the 4 agreements, the first agreement is don't take things personally. So there's 8 billion people on the planet. There's probably 7.9 billion or 7.99 billion who are not going to resonate with you. So, you know, take the last 10 million and maybe they resonate with you, but for whatever reason, they don't know English or whatever, they're not in your scope. And so if you can help 10 to 100,000 people, I think you're doing pretty good. And so it's just finding them out of that, you know, 8 billion and be prepared for a lot of quote unquote rejection. I don't, you know, and not take it personally. I tell my clients to get a spreadsheet out and write the numbers 1 to 100 on a spreadsheet, and next to 1 to 99, write no, and write yes next to 100. And every time you get a no, cross off a number. And I'm pretty sure you're not going to get to 99 before you get a yes. And the thought process is, I'm one step closer to a yes every time you get a no.
I love it. I love it. That's something I got to do on my own, right? So one more question to kind of dig a little bit deeper. So your advice in this example, there's probably more things that you provided in terms of advice. One was increase your amount of outreach and calls. 2 is double your price. And if you take some of the pieces of your platform that take into account the vibrations they're talking about, the mindset, the beliefs, the affirmations, some of that part. And let's say you take that out of the equation. We don't bring that into the equation at all. And you just said, hey, I know your problem is you're not reaching your goals because you're not doing 1 and 2. Go do 1 and 2. How does that type of affect or the results? How would the results differ on that versus if you combine the other parts of the process that we've already been talking about?
Yes, I start with mindset, because if you don't believe in yourself, you can do those processes and you're not going to get any results. So it starts with mindset. You have to believe in yourself. You have to believe you're worthy of the price. You just doubled it. You have to get to that point where you're saying the affirmation to yourself, you know, the investment of my program is, and believe it. Because if you don't, the prospective client will feel that lack of confidence. And well, if they're not confident in themselves, how can they be confident in me? How are they going to help me to get to the next level? So the mindset piece, somebody asked me on a recent interview, how much time do you spend on mindset? Like, some people come to me and just want to invest in real estate. And I say, great, I can teach you. I have a whole chapter on real estate in the 9 money rules, and it's pretty unique, but I'm not going there until we go through mindset, because you'll be selling when you should be buying and buying when you should be selling. So let's start with mindset. I have a financial freedom survey my clients fill out before they start working with me. And we work on mindset and where those limiting beliefs are and shift them. And it might be 2 or 3 weeks. It might be 5 or 6. And one of my clients recently said to me, Joel, when are we going to get to the stock investing part? And I said, we need to work on mindset 1 or 2 more weeks. We're not there yet. She got very upset. I signed up for this. I said, I know, but you're going to be buying when you should be selling and selling when you should be buying. We got to get you to a point where you have absolute confidence in yourself, in the goodness of money. And only until we get there can we get into the techniques and processes that will make you the millions.
So building the foundation, right? You have the foundation built.
Absolutely essential. But so to answer your question, I think a lot of people teach process. And then the entrepreneurs sign up for these programs. One guy told me he paid $40,000 for a process-oriented program and got no new clients from it. Zero return on investment. I'm like, dude, like that is so unconscionable. So he had mindset issues, right? And so when he started working with me, we worked on mindset for weeks. And if you looked at his online presence, you would have been like, how is this guy not making 10, 20,000 at least in his business? Best-selling author, TEDx speaker, on stages every week. Like you look, and then he's posting all the time. And I'm like, this guy, he should be making 20, 30,000 a month. He wasn't there. And there were some pretty large, and so he didn't have a high ticket item. He wasn't reaching out to people. He just thought, I'll go on stages and people will see me speak and they'll buy, a 3,000 ticket item from me. That's not how it works. Like, he may think they know him, but they don't know him. They may buy a $27 or $10 book from him, but they're not buying $2,000 or $3,000 or $4,000. And so, like, he had processes that were not appropriate, but the mindset piece was huge.
So what's going through my brain, right? Because I'm in the mortgage world. And so part of the things that I've had to do throughout my career is we're talking about outreach, phone calls that you don't ever want to make. And I'm just thinking in my brain, the 99 X's or no's till you get the one yes. And it's like, if you said to that person, hey, go increase your calls, go double your price, and like without any, you don't include the mindset part of it, it's like, okay, I'll make one call or 5 calls. And if I get no's and no one's taking my higher price, then you're going to stop. You're going to have no confidence to keep going. And so without the foundation, you're not going to have that stability to be able to keep on
no
going.
Change. Absolutely. Great point, Joel.
And that, like, literally, that's the difference. That's the difference between the best and the rest. The best, they keep on going, but they keep on going because they have a different level of belief and foundation and mindset. Okay. Beautiful.
You got it.
Beautiful. Okay.
And what I recommend to initially with entrepreneurs is reach out to people you know first. It may be 100, it may be 1,000. Some people have 10,000 in their network that are semi-friends or semi-relationships, but you don't need to do cold calls for a long time if you're starting a business. And when you get a no, you could also say, hey, do you know somebody who might be having a life change? Maybe they're getting divorced, maybe their parents are getting older, and they might need to move at some point. Can you keep me in mind? And so you don't need to necessarily make a sale right then, but just get them top of mind, get you top of mind to them. So, and then you could also say, is there any other names you have that you could give me that we could just have a call and provide information? Because what I do is I coach on every call that I'm on with a potential client. So they're getting massive value, even if they don't purchase anything.
Gotcha.
So you can educate them on what's going on in the real estate market, what's going on in terms of, mortgage rates have doubled in the last year. Do you, talking about refinancing, or you can't refinance, or, all those kinds of things, just educating them, and they'll feel like they've gotten real value from you. And then, you can follow up in 3 or 6 months and if you have their information, email or whatever, or text, you can give them even more information free.
One of my favorite questions that kind of built into my repertoire is the person you're checking in on, how's it going, whatever. The situation may be different than whoever else is, but hey, you're okay with where you are. Maybe you have kids, maybe you don't, whatever it is. Well, we're talking to investors and clients every single day. Like, what would be a scenario or a situation that you would drop what you're doing and you would go want to pursue a certain property? Is it one that's going to be a home with a pool and a corner lot with a this and that? That's somebody has to fire, sell, and get out, or is it an investment property? And like whatever, and just let the person think about it. And maybe they have no idea, maybe they do, but if they do, now you have something to be able to actually look for, and also concrete to follow up with. So every industry is going to be different. But I love that. So just to kind of recap for the audience, right? So best-selling author, the 9 money rules that millionaires use, right? You've got the website Salomon, right?
Yep. SALEURMOR.com, named after my daughters, by the way, Lauren and Morgan.
And then what else should somebody know in terms of just the information that you're providing, where to find you at?
Yeah, I mean, that's the main. I'm on all social media. So if you want to get free reels on Instagram or TikTok, it's Joel Prosperity Salomon. I do a 1-minute reel for free on different money topics every single day. So just follow me there for free content. And again, I'm giving away that white paper. You text to 66866 prosperity, you'll get the 5 mistakes new millionaires make.
So kind of digging into the book a little bit, right? So when somebody buys this book, is it a precursor to then maybe they want to learn more about the coaching course and get some help with some results? Because I'm a big believer, especially I've got kids, I've got jobs, and all kinds of things going on. Some parents in my life, like, I just need to be able to get the answer quickly. I need somebody to coach me to get there, right? Which is a process. So can you kind of explain what does somebody get out of the book versus what someone's going to get out of the coaching platform?
Yeah, the book is generic and it's mostly mindset, which is essential, as we've talked about. I don't go into business development, growing your business. I don't go into crypto. If you're interested in that, I teach that as well. And so that's one piece of it. When I coach, it's individualized. And so everyone's in a different spot. I was talking to someone earlier today, and she said, well, I'm starting this business a couple of months ago. I said, yes, I know. And I'm coaching other people who are just starting their business, but you are unique, right? And so you have certain beliefs that no one else does. And so that's what they get from the coaching experience, is somebody who can support them where they are, meet them where they are, and move them to financial freedom. And that's really critical. And then another thing is people need accountability. So I'm their accountability partner for at least 3 months. Now I do have almost free online courses on my website, which go into more detail than the book does. And I do have a membership, which is a little bit more support, where I have a Q&A. So you can ask me any question for an hour a week in a group setting, but it's not individualized. And some people like the community. I have a private Facebook group for the membership, but some people prefer to not be seen, and they prefer to get help on a one-on-one basis. And so that's where I come in with the high-end coaching.
So, one of the things that we talk about on Strive for 25 platform is that information, alone is just not the answer, right? I mean, we have information at our fingertips, almost information overload. And if that were the key to being happy and successful, we'd all be happy and successful because we have the internet at our fingertips, and it takes more than that. And, the book, it's going to give somebody a foundation, right? But then the implementation, the people that talk about, well, I've read 74 books or 54 books in a year, okay, that's cool. But like, did you implement anything from the books, right? Because like I know for me, I've got an ADD brain, and like I have to read things like 5 times to really understand it. So maybe I'm different than most, but like, you know, when you read one book and you move on to the next one, like how are you going to implement something? You're on to the next thing, on to the next thing. And like implementation takes time. To get results, it takes time. And I think that's one of the things that I see in myself for sure, and other people that I work with, work in terms of clients or in the industry or friends, is like, you know, our expectations of results are flawed in terms of what reality actually brings, in terms of the time it takes to be able to get to where you want to go.
Absolutely. I read a lot as well, and I'll get 5 to 10 tips from each book, and then implementation is the key, right? And so there's some books I'm like, wow, okay, you know, I read a book early this year and it talked about taking baby steps to improve yourself. So I jog every day. Okay, I'm going to go from 4 miles to 4.25 this week, and then go from 4.25 to 4.5 the next week. So taking baby steps to get to higher goals. I do 100 push-ups every day. So instead of doing 3 sets of 33 and 2 sets of 33, 1 of 34, I'm going to do a couple of 34s and a 35. And the next week I'll do 35 and 36. And so like, it's just tweaking. And so that was one thing I got out of that book. And it's so, you know, in the 9 money rules, there's 9 specific recommendations, of course. And, you know, take a baby step and do a couple of those.
So there's a question that's going through my brain, and I'm gonna mess up the name of this, so I'm not even gonna try. There was a reel that I saw, and I actually posted this as a remix, and this person was talking about how, you know, if somebody has the quote unquote savage mindset skills, savage meaning like, okay, I'm not gonna stop till I get my goal. I'm gonna just make things happen, just a go-getter, you know, demonstrative personality, whatever it is. Talking about this current generation, Gen Z, Gen Y, whatever, which are, you know, the younger demographic is being soft. And if someone's savage, then they're just gonna dominate, you know, as time goes on, because most of the generation is soft, right? And I really don't like that. I don't like that type of conversation for many reasons. And I'm not gonna go into all that, but one of the things that I believe is that, like, just because somebody doesn't have something God-given doesn't mean that they can't get to where they want to go in a certain way. And in the example that I used was Tom Brady. That dude was pudgy, 7th round draft pick. He ran like a 5.2 40-yard dash. He was the 2nd string quarterback or whatever, 5th string quarterback until his senior year. And that guy is the GOAT. He's the motherfucking GOAT. 6-time Super Bowl champion. If you looked at him in a lineup, you say, yeah, on a basketball court, you're picking him last. He's slow, he's whatever. But reading and learning some of the things that he's put together, how he's done things, mindset, belief, training his subconscious mind, these are some of the things that he believes in as well. And I think it's helped him. And he's a byproduct of the things that we're talking about, like literally like right here. He's a byproduct of that. And if that guy can go from a 7th round pick to a GOAT, then why can't somebody else use these principles to get to where they want to go?
Absolutely. And visualizing, we didn't really talk about, it's rule number 4 in the 9 money rules. You know, I know that all athletes use visualization. It's used by Navy SEALs now, but there's so many examples of just specifically visualizing your dream, like feeling the feeling of actually throwing that winning Super Bowl pass, right? And being in that moment and hearing the crowd, right? He lived that before it actually happened many times, right? And so he visualized and felt the feeling. Wayne Dyer says, make your future dream a present reality by assuming the feeling of the wish fulfilled, by assuming the feeling of the wish fulfilled. So that's really critical. And that's why that's rule number 4 in the book is, you know, thinking about what you want is great, but feeling it is even better.
So is it a one-time thing or a more-time thing?
I do it every single morning for the last 5 years. I've been to some really awesome places. My biggest passion in life is travel. Besides helping people become financially free, my biggest passion is traveling. And I've been to Egypt and India and Thailand Belize, Hawaii, all in the last couple of years. And that was all from visualizing.
That's awesome. That's awesome. So like from a purpose and a goal standpoint, I think we have a lot of alignment in terms of just trying to help people reach their goals and whatever it may be, finance or whatever else. And, you know, when we talk about these things out loud and in front of people, you know, the more intangible somebody is, the more people are going to have maybe react in a way that's not as accepting or understanding or whatever. And so that's why I really like to dig into these things and talk about tangible examples and talk about the intangible and then how it flows into the tangible. And I feel like if we had more mechanisms or more ways to be able to demonstrate some of these processes and how they work, why they work, and how people can get results, that we'd be able to have more people be in a better place mentally, physically, result-wise, you know? And so how do we do that?
Read more books, watch more podcasts, you know, just get involved, take action, right? You know, I don't know any billionaires who just sit at home and meditate all day long, right? Now, I'm not saying don't meditate because I do every day. And I'm not saying don't visualize, but meditate and visualize and then go take some action, right? And it doesn't have to be the savage, massive action. I've been taking baby steps for years now. And I took baby steps. It took me 20 years. And I teach people now, my long road can be your shortcut. But it took me 20 years to go from actuary to hedge fund manager. And that was my massive dream. And I had a lot of doubt. I didn't know this stuff. I didn't know about beliefs. So I white knuckled it for 20 years and got there. And I did it. I achieved that massive dream. But you don't have to, right? Your listeners don't have to, because just in these 45 minutes, they can shift my long road to their shortcut, and they can learn some specific techniques, proven techniques, so that they can get there quicker.
What's the first rule in the 9 money rules?
When you believe.
What's the second one?
Trust your intuition.
Okay. We'll leave it at that. Patrick Bet-David talks about, you know, this moment in someone's life that just hits them hard, this trajectory shift that all of a sudden, you know, changes to a higher level. He calls it a paradigm shift. Nothing fancy in terms of, it's just what he calls it, paradigm shift. You know, and you mentioned for 20 years of white knuckling it, right? And then now talking about, you know, a different state of mind where you see it, you're doing it, you do it every day. You know, is there a moment in time where something happened or experience that shifted your mind on this stuff?
Yeah, so I read Think and Grow Rich in 2007, 2008, and I read The Secret in 2007. So 2 books that changed my life. And there's a passage in The Secret about this guy who thought about this feather. And every morning he woke up, he thought about this feather. Every night he thought about this feather, and with all these etchings and carvings in it. And one day he's walking down the street, he saw the exact feather he thought about in his mind. So I thought, I'm going to try. And I don't know why, but the first thing that popped into my head was cotton balls, pure white cotton balls. And so every morning, starting in February 2008, I thought about cotton balls. Every night before I went to sleep, I thought about cotton balls. And it was April 2008. It got warm enough here in New York where I'd go jogging with my daughters. Actually, I was jogging. They were sitting in their double jogging stroller, and I was pushing them. We go around the track a couple of times. We get to the park. I get them. We go up the hill. I get them out of the double jogging stroller at the playground, and I push them on the swings. I push them down the slides. Then they get back in, and I jog home. Well, it was May 31st, 2008. We get to that park, run up the hill. We get to the playground. I'm getting them out of the double jogging stroller. I look down, and I see all over the park, not 1, not 2, but tons of cotton balls. Lauren, pick up the cotton balls. Morgan, pick up the cotton balls. So for years after, I had cotton balls on my desk to remind me that your thoughts become things. Now, here's the punchline. The next day, June 1st, 2008, I put a check up on my ceiling for 10 times what I'd ever made in my life. And I said, I don't know how and I don't know why, but I do know it's coming, because money is energy, like we've talked about. And 2008 wasn't the best year in the stock market. 2009 was better. On January 10th of 2010, my boss called me into a conference room. He said, Joel, you had a good year last year. He slipped a piece of paper to me. I flipped it over. It was within $1,000 of the check I had up on the ceiling for the last 18 months.
Damn.
So thoughts become things, and Think and Grow Rich and The Secret changed my life. And so that was the change, right? That was 15 years into the dream of becoming a hedge fund manager. I was actually a hedge fund manager at the time. I didn't have my own company. That was the true dream. So that's the answer to the question.
So now you're doing a different passion. Like, passions can change, right? You think you're going to do this, whatever it is, for forever, and things change and your mindset changes and what you prioritize changes. And to be able to go follow your dream and follow your passion within 12 hours, write an email, like that's pretty cool, and like you mentioned before, being able to hit goals, and whether it's monetary goals or whatever, and then to be able to give back and help others along the way. I mean, that's what it's all about.
Absolutely.
In terms of 2023 goals, do you have a check up on the ceiling? What's something else you're thinking about for the future?
Well, my main mission right now is to help at least 100,000 people become financially free.
Okay. So we mentioned that before. So 100,000. So that's a big number.
That is what I have in a plastic index card by my bed, on my pillow. Every night I look at it before I go to sleep. I look at it right when I wake up. That's what drives me.
Do you think you're gonna need some help?
Yeah, I mean, this podcast will help.
Collaborations, sharing ideas, partnerships.
I mean,
something like that.
Leverage in business is essential. That's what I teach. So having, people work for you, doing group courses, doing masterminds, doing memberships, absolutely, that's the way. And writing a few more books as well.
Cool. How do you quantify that? Is there a way to quantify that or track it? Or
I'm tracking it by the people I touch directly. It's going to be hard to track by the number of people who have bought my book, say, and that's so I don't really count those. I mean, people, please, if you read my book and you become financially free, send me an email. But otherwise I won't know. But I'm just counting the people I help directly through my membership, through my courses, through my one-on-one coaching.
Cool. Any other tips or words of advice that you give to somebody out there that's struggling, or entrepreneur that needs more help or ideas? Or
my last one would be #doubt the doubt. Have faith in your dreams and desires. Why do you have faith in your doubt? And recognize it when it's there, because we all have doubts, but doubt the doubts.
Yep. That's awesome. I know we're running out of time. A lot of good stuff here. I'm so thankful to have you on, Joel, and just, a lot of good stuff. But again, for the listeners, where can they find you at again?
So it's Salomon.com, SALEURMOR.com. Find me on Instagram or TikTok, Joel Prosperity Salomon, all one word. Facebook as well. And if you want, like I said, you have the free white paper. If anybody wants to do an absolutely free 15 to 30 minute prosperity coaching call, sign up on the website. It's on the homepage.
Love it. All right, Joel, we'll be talking soon, I'm sure. And thanks again for coming on, and appreciate it.
Thanks so much, Joel. Appreciate you.
All right. Take care.